This is episode 276 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion. My first grader had an hour of homework today, Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel, South Canada for a year, Manzano.
We'll talk about it more, but congratulations to Cam in Canada and everyone up there. So, bravo.
Will, I can do this all night, Haywood.
Until my internet has maintenance during a stream game. How embarrassing.
And Ryan, extra crispy, newly flavored, Staniszewski.
Yeah, apparently being crispy comes in different flavors, and it turns out they're pretty good.
All right, so a couple announcements and news. We do have a special guest we're going to get to here in a minute, but a couple of things happened over the weekend. First, Canada did win the XTC. They were on top. Team USA ends up in 5th place, if I'm not mistaken. Now, today we're going to be focusing on our Galactic Championship qualifier, and guests from Team Canada will be here next week to talk their trash in person. So they'll get their opportunity to do that, but honestly, being able to pick their brains and talk to them a little bit about the XTC. But today we're talking about the Oricon Galactic Championship qualifier. If you want to follow along, you can do so by going to our Gold Squadron podcast website and then going to our Galaxy results, because we're going to kind of start there with our bracket and our champion, Christopher Patrick, a.k.a. Crispy. How's it going, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm feeling good, man. So you just woke up this year, was like, I'm just going to go around and collect some trophies. This is my trophy. This is my trophy.
Pretty much. I made a New Year's resolution because I was doing a whole bunch of the online stuff, and I wanted to win one. I said I'm going to win one in 2021. I'd made a top 4, a couple top 8s, and I think it's just, gotten into a nice hot streak, and I'm hoping this continues up until Worlds in March. So
There you go. I'm just going to keep winning. That's my plan, is just to keep winning. I mean, it's a good strategy, sir.
Exactly.
So for those of you who don't know, he is the reigning Kyber Cup champion. He won our first Galactic Qualifier Sullust, and now has won the 3rd one, the Oricon Qualifier, and with notably in Galaxy's 2 different lists in 2 different factions, which I want to pick your brain about that here in a minute. But let's just start by, can you tell us what you flew?
Yeah, so for which tournament? Oricon?
For Oricon, yes.
So I had the Mandalorian with Predator, Juke, Fenrau crew, the Child, Jamming Beam, Greedo, and the Razor Crest title. Cad Bane in the Rogue class Starfighter with Ion Cannon, Jamming Beam, False Transponder Codes, Contraband Cybernetics, the Xanadu Blood title, which added Zuckuss and Ion Bombs. Then you had Manaru with Notorious, Jamming Beam, Gar Saxon, Overtuned Modulators, the Punishing One title, and R5P8. And then finally, rounding out the list in the Hawk 290 is Gamut Key with Protector, Gleb, and Deadman Switch.
All right, so here's a question: how do you get less bad at list building? Because I'm terrible at it. So, my joke there leading is: was this your idea? Was this a play off of something that you saw? Kind of, what was the evolution of this list?
So I've been messing around with a lot of scum recently, just trying to find out what fits. So basically all of my scum lists start with Gamut Key. I think he's one of the best support ships in the game, and especially with a lot of your scum tanks out there that can take multiple green tokens in a turn, like a Focus, Reinforce, Evade, or Stack Calculates. He's very efficient at just loading up one guy and just sending them in, and they're basically a tank for that first couple engagements. And then after that, he's just a consistent coordinator and can hold other tokens around. So I had when I went to Gen Con this year and I met you guys, my backup list was Emon over Mando with Cad, Manaru, and Gamut. And so I would have the Electro-Proton Bomb on Emon, and if, Gambit does his stuff to hold tokens, but if anyone got disarmed, I would use Gambit to hold that disarm for an additional turn. And so I just thought that was a cool concept, using, the Ion Cannon on Cad Bane to pass out extra red tokens, stress, strain, powering up Manu for a 4-die gun. So I really like that combo. It was just that, after the bombs of Emon, he really didn't have much firepower because all of his loadout value went into those bombs. So I started looking at other 7-pointers because Scum has a lot of great 7-point ships. You have Bosk, you have Rook, you have Mando, you have all the other fire sprays that aren't Boba. So
True.
Yeah, so I was just messing around, and the one thing that Mando stuck out to me was that he was I5. All the others were I3 or I4, and in a world where Kylo's really cheap, Obi-Wan's really cheap, Luke is everywhere, I wanted to have an I5 to at least contend with those a little bit. Maybe not win every single matchup, but at least have the ability to maneuver and potentially combat them. Or at least, not have my opponent know exactly what I'm going when they go to reposition. So having that I5, and once again, being able to have that focus and evade that Gambit can basically stack up and shove them in there as like a very efficient face tank. Very difficult to kill. I can generally get, the focus evade. He evades again. And it's very difficult for opponents to deal with him quickly. And he's a 3-die gun that slaps.
3-die gun that slaps. That's couldn't have said it better myself. Like, I know, like, for myself, like, I had been struggling to see the combo that was needed to make the Scum version of Cad Bane like really work. And when I saw you actually make it happen, when you did, like, there was like Fen Rao shenanigans happening combining with Cad Bane, I was just sitting there going, what? Well, it was just this incredible combo wing is what I'm going to call it, to make people just sad.
Well, I think right now, Scum Cad Bane is probably one of the, NBE ships out there, because he's, not passively, but he's actively putting negative things on your ships.
Right.
Kind of reminds you of like Ensnare Nantex, where, if he simply gets within range or hits you, he's just passing off all of those negative tokens. And Fen Rao Crew was actually probably one of the biggest game changers that I had. I originally was experimenting with L337 on Mando, just consistent blue maneuvers across the board. And then I think it was Sandy from Hexiled Gaming recommended Fen Rao, because Fen Rao could then also support everyone else, because it's not just for your own ship. And then from there, it was just like a light bulb moment where I'm like, oh man, I can have, like Cad Bane has those red repositions, boost and barrel roll. He can focus boost into range 1 and then ditch the stress and get Zuckuss and then hit it again. And it was just such an effective combo that I could just keep that rolling all game long. And as long as they were at least, range 2 is a pretty big bubble, especially on a medium-based ship. So they could just combo and they could just keep shooting. It was really, really effective and a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it was fun to watch. If you haven't watched, the archive is, of course, on our Twitch stream, and they'll be coming to YouTube soon. Now, Will, Marcel, Ryan, feel free if you have any questions you want to throw at him. I know I have a couple of fun ones, some related to the tournament, but if you guys want it, if you have anything front of mind, let me know now before I continue.
Well,
Hit it,
actually,
Ryan.
Let me.
Marcel, go for it.
I raised my hand. Marcel interrupted. He's a bad student.
No, that's fine.
I saw Ryan's hand.
I'm not in the honor, and it wasn't going to be a question for Crispy yet, but I just saw that you put it on there. I was going to ask for the actual list itself, but now I see that you've had it on the board the whole time.
The whole time.
I got
Always
it
there.
in class.
So let me do my backup homework.
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta ask a starting funny one. Were you watching GSP 2 weeks ago when I said watch out for Garsax and Gunner Scum, and that should be one of the next big cards to show up that no one's really using?
I do remember you saying that. I believe, I'm not sure if it was you or someone else, but did you go on Hexiled and say that Scum Cad Bane is one of the worst performing ships in Scum?
It was one of the worst performing ships.
It was. It was.
Clear, yes.
Yeah.
And so this leads into maybe more of a more serious question then. So when you look at that ScumCAD, it's a lot of control piece, right? You have the stress passing, you have a lot of ion giving. Obviously, some of the ion giving can stack more than necessary. That can power up Manaru. Maybe you can speak to other things that Cad Bane can do in this list, maybe on an objective scale, or also just in interactions beyond, like you mentioned, the Fenrau helping Cad Bane. But did you ever feel like Cad Bane was ever a liability on the offensive generating standpoint? Like where did this Cad Bane compensate for that? Because you don't have, like, I commonly see Cad Banes with Ion Cannon and HLC. So if you do get that bullseye, it's a really dangerous one with Dead to Rights. But maybe you can explain how where some of the gaps are filled and maybe some of the lack of offense he can bring.
So Cad Bane's role in the list is not really to be that overwhelming damage dealer. He had to fire his primary for extra damage maybe 3 or 4 times in the entire tournament. But what he's there to do is to basically pick 1 or 2 ships and just lock them down. So he's got Ion Cannon and Ion Bomb. So I did toy between Ion Bombs or Heavy Laser Cannon for that extra offensive, having dice to do damage. But what I found is a lot of people, when they see that CAD, they generally just tend to disrespect them, and they'll take their Poe or Luke and they'll just line them right across. So as long as I can, get that Ion Cannon going, and I have false transponder codes, I can take off mods, and I have Ion Bombs, so I can, if they're ever choosing to joust CAD, or I can just set CAD across from whatever I want him to slow down. He hits them with an Ion Cannon. He doesn't even need to Ion, because he'll stress himself with Zuckuss and pass the stress, so that will still slow them down. He drops an Ion Bomb behind him, and in a couple of my games, he was able to hit someone with an Ion Cannon, drop an Ion Bomb behind him, the ship does the Ion maneuver, gets ionized again. Meanwhile, Cat has done the 5K behind him, and now immediately he's accelerating to another shot. So it's an Ion Cannon into an Ion Bomb into an Ion Cannon, and that is basically one piece of my opponent's that is locked down for the rest of the game. Because now Cad Bane is trailing them with mods, passing off stress and Ion. And because I think this happened in my top 8, where I hit a Poverdrive with Ion Cannon into the Ion Bomb, that ship was out for the rest of the game. And a couple other instances where he is just there to slow down and harass, and he can be as squirrely as possible. The Decloak 5K catches a lot of people off guard, being able to, take more than his pay grade, because in the final, 2 strikers just came right at him, just went right past him, came around, and basically just locked him down until the rest of the list could get there. So he is not there to do damage. He is there to stall as much as he can.
Now,
So
go ahead, Will.
a control Bane, if you will. My question is in reference to Gamat Key. You're talking about keeping those nasty weapons disabled tokens on ships in a different build. Were you able to get anything good held on the opponent during the tournament? Any 7th Fleet Gunner disarms or anything like that?
There was one time where I went up against a 7th Fleet Gunner, but there were Jedi screaming down at Gamut, so he had to quickly focus on getting himself out of there instead of trying to lock down the weapons disabled. Plus, it's a 7th Fleet Gunner lat. It's probably just going to take the weapons disabled again on the next turn. So not much of a point of keeping that. But, I mean, yeah, it's orange and green tokens are the ones that he keeps. Mostly it's keeping Mando's Evade, keeping that Juke alive, so that way he can keep locking or focusing depending on how much force he has. And then in the rare occasion, keeping green tokens on Manaru, preventing her from getting strained from overtuned modulators. So I can, keep that up for a little bit. And, if Manaru's not in trouble, she can, of course, ditch her green tokens over to someone else, and Gambit can hold them on that person as well.
Yeah, because you can get focus evade like turn 1 with Manaru, and another ship. I guess you can coordinate them though too.
Yeah. Generally, Manaru wasn't close enough at range 1.
Sure.
So it was Gambit coordinates the focus and passes the stress. Then Mando does a blue maneuver, like a 3 or 4 straight, ditches that stress, then gets the evade and the focus. And the evade are held. If Manaru is close enough, I could pass a focus, so I could hold focus, and evade. But that was generally not necessary because he's already got force. So once I stack up tokens high enough, my opponent's going to look at him and go, I'm not even going to try.
Fair.
That's a valid strategy. Just make people sad. It's like, I don't know what to do. Now, one thing that we talk about always is, of course, it takes skill to win a tournament, but it also takes a little bit of luck. So what I would like to know is I want to know about those parts. What were the moments that happened during the tournament where you went, well, that went my way, and it maybe, helped give that little extra push?
Yeah. So I do like gambling a lot, especially on the road roll. I'll make big moves, basically all in on getting a certain road roll one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it paid off. Like in the final, the decloak into the 5K on CAD to get behind the strikers early. That doesn't happen if he doesn't move first, because Sabak is sitting right where CAD needs to be. I either bump and the strikers just go right by and bomb CAD, or I can, fail the 5K because I'm still stressed, and then I just, kind of put myself in front of the striker, so I'm either on the front end of 2 strikers or I'm on the back end of 2 strikers. And there were a couple other times where it was a lucky ion cannon shot from CAD. Range 3 needs the hit in the ion to go through. I believe in the top 4, I went against Vader Defender, like the classic Vader Defender and 5 ties. CAD got 2 ion cannon shots with the ion onto Vader and pushed him outside of the center for chance engagement, and that basically was the game. If I don't get the ion, then that doesn't happen, but it was basically naked dice versus Vader's naked dice, and 2 got through. So yeah.
So it does take luck to win a major tournament, right? Or even not just a major tournament. It takes luck to win a certain number. You can be a small tournament, but it could still be like a small tournament with 7, 8, 9 rounds when you consider the cut. But it's not just luck. Like, luck's not going to do it. I think, one of the things that Crispy just said, that it's luck knowing the consequences of the risk that you're taking. And I think that's where you have the combination of luck and the skill. It's like that risk assessment. It's knowing, like, okay, if it doesn't go this way, this is the consequence that I'm going to face, and I have to be willing to face that. And it's understanding that consequence and understanding what you're going to do to try to come back for that consequence, or even if it's at the end of the game where there's no consequence after, is knowing the risk of, if I don't take this risk, then the possibility of me winning is 0. So this is like my best opportunity to win. Where you see a lot of games on stream where somebody makes the safer move, but it's the end of the game, so the safer move is just going to keep it close, but it's not going to give you the opportunity to win. So luck is a big factor of it, but it's also understanding the consequences if the luck doesn't go your way. What are you going to do to mitigate the amount of downside that you get from it? So there's like a little bit of it's luck, but it's also calculated luck, I would say, in most situations.
Calculated risks, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's just literally luck, though. Sometimes it's like I'm shooting you with my TIE fighter with 2 dice, and you're cloaked behind the cloud with a focus evade, and that 1 damage comes in. So yeah, sometimes you do get those, but for the most time, it's calculated.
So I got a great question from
wait,
John in our chat.
Just let me ask one more question before, because that was just a
I got a
commentary.
follow-up.
So I'm just curious with the Razor Crest title. Was it always false transponder codes, or did you ever not take false transponder codes as far as the what was hidden under that card?
So let's just take a second. What is Crispy? Can you remind for maybe somebody who's like, I don't know what the Razor Crest does. What's the sneaky thing you got there?
Yeah, so at the start of setup, I believe it is, I get to hide 1 illicit from my opponent. They don't know what it is. It's a non-limited illicit. And then during the system phase, I can reveal it, and it is then attached to Mando. So I would generally swap between false transponder codes and contraband, depending on how often I thought that Mando was going to need to stress himself again. Fenrout crew, excellent stress removal, but on those turns where it's, all right, I need to do a 5K and I need to roll off of this, I'm going to need that contraband. I think I took false transponder codes once, and I took contraband the rest of the times.
Okay. All right. Will?
Yeah, so, like I said, John brought up a good point. You did take a loss in the tournament. Who did you lose to? What list, rather?
Yeah, I lost to Justin Williamson. He was flying Boba, Iman, and Kanan.
Okay. Is that a typical list that you would have problems with? Tell us the secret weaknesses of this squad.
So generally, I don't say it's a weakness, more on a strength of the opponent, because in order to beat this list, you need to look at it and immediately recognize what it does, and you need to understand that you cannot shoot Mando or Manaru in the first couple rounds. And that's what he did. He had Boba dive bomb on Cad Bane, and he used his Cad Bane crew on Iman to get around Manaru and have his Iman start eating away at Gamut. Because you don't want to take shots into Mando, because he's just going to roll 2 evades. He's got all the tokens in the world. And you don't want to shoot at Manaru, who's going to Notorious you and hit you back with double mods. So you go after the squishier targets in the back that aren't as punishing if you shoot them. I mean, Cad has ion bombs to scare people from chasing him. Gamut has deadmans, but those are 2 far better options than trying to go face-to-face with Mando or getting Notorious from Manaru. I made a couple minor mistakes with Manaru. I got her turned around on the wrong side of the board, and she basically didn't have any good shots for like 2 or 3 rounds. He completely outflew me with Iman. Very unpredictable. I thought he was going to try to block Mando, so I 5K'd, and he just completely turned around the other way. So Mando and Manaru not having good shots early, and he made a good analysis to, all right, we're going to just completely ignore those 2. Let's go after Cad Bane. Let's go after Gamut. And that's what he did.
All right. Turns out it worked out for him. And then follow-up question. Did you ever face the double chaffed foe list?
Ooh, so for reference, for people who don't know, that's the list that Crispy won the first Galactic Championship qualifier with, and also did really well at Gen Con, the in-person tournament with.
Funny enough, I did. It was Kylo, Scorch, Malorus, Dread Grudge. I think the only change was he had sensor scramblers on Kylo instead of advanced optics. And that was also in
That's the wrong choice, by the way. I'll take your optics.
Yeah, take the optics, have your consistent mods all the time. But yeah, I did end up flying against that, which I thought was really funny.
Now, speaking of bringing up the objectives, so when you spent however many games or time you spent with the scum list now, what did you analyze as your objective advantages and disadvantages?
So I think the clear advantage is Assault, having those medium and large bases that I can just shove out there. Cad's very fast, he can get to those objectives, and Gambit also being very slow can just circle around an objective, and he's completely fine with it. I actually found out that my list is really good at salvage. Gambit picks up a crate early. Manaru, thanks to Overtuned, can have her defensive modifications and then spend her action on the salvage, which is really helpful. And then I believe on one of the stream games, Cad was able to zoom basically down to the far side of the board and pick up a crate before the opponent's list was able to get to him. So Mando really doesn't want to crate because he's, the evade and the red barrel roll is really strong with him, especially with everything that's built on him. So I have 3 consistent and defensive crate carriers that most ships can't generally take on early.
Now, what about Scramble and Chance? Which one of those two feels the weakest then if you're leaving them out?
I would have to say that Scramble is probably the worst, because the only one that has an available action to keep flipping it is Manaru, and maybe Gambit. Gambit can, help support actions to others with the coordinate, and Manaru on that first turn can hit Overtuned and then go grab it. Otherwise, Cad's going to be needing his action basically every turn after. Mando's going to need his action every turn after. And, Manaru having that asymmetrical dial, if she does her turns and the sensors are on her right, she's not getting to them anytime soon. So it's chances all right. I have enough squirrely ships. Well, I have a squirrely ship with Cad, and I have Mando who can just 5k back and forth. So I can generally stay close to the center.
Well, it's the 5. People have to respect the 0 stop or the 5K. It could be one or the other, which is a pretty big deal.
Yes.
And one thing you mentioned a lot, using a lot in the aspect of using this card and then doing scenario actions as being an option for you. A lot of people tend to sort of default to putting contraband cybernetics on Manaru. I've always liked overtune modulators because you have the R5P at you, because you can overtune, still do red, get your mods, or clearly do scenario actions and still have mods, which is a big deal. Maybe you can go deeper into where other situations or just as you developed that decision.
Yeah, so this actually originally starts with me helping my friend of mine play an Empire, and so he was running overtune modulators on his Jingoists, and he was able to basically have them run up with their overtune modulators and then take the crates, take those scenario actions, and generally it's like, oh, when I see those TIE fighters going for those actions, that's the target. They're defenseless, all they've got is 3 dice. But now with the Jingoists, they've got 3 calculates, that's a bit harder to punch through. So I just kind of kept that same idea of, oh, for those objective actions, I'm going to use them here. When it comes to overtune versus contraband, a lot of the times that I would use like contraband, being able to have overtuned almost does the same job, because when you want to do those red maneuvers on Manaru, get yourself turned around, you use contraband, get a focus, because you have R5P8, which is passive rerolls. So you already have a reroll modification. So you are generally taking a focus, so you have your focus mod and a reroll. And Overtuned basically does the same thing. The downside is the strain, but like I said, if you're notorious on Manaru, most likely people aren't going to go after you quickly. So you're able to, as long as you have like 1 or 2 strain, you can get rid of them quickly and then just keep going on.
Now, thinking about the match that you had, you said that this was Justin Williamson was the player that you lost against. Were there any other players or lists that you played against that you were like, did you play against anything unexpected, I guess is my question.
Unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a moment where you saw a list and you went, oh, neat or interesting?
I would have to give that to my 3rd opponent, Adam Hill, which came at me with a really unique scum list. It was Han, Lima, Leighton, and there was another fourth ship in there. Emon, the fire spray. And Adam also, not only with a list that I hadn't really considered, because I generally, I've seen a lot of people shift away from Lima to other, 4-pointers in Scum, and Lima with Chaff, also not something that I was expecting to see. Emon with Chaff, also I generally see Chaff on the other fire sprays. So came at me. I wasn't sure how to tackle it, and Adam did the right thing, and he went all in on Gamut on the first engagement, got 5 damage through, and then Cad just hit the runaway button, and unfortunately Adam wasn't able to tag him, and I think that was eventually the game from there, because once he kills Cad and just turns on the rest of my forces, he's got a lot of firepower. But he went all in on Cad, didn't get it, and then Cad was able to escape while Manaru and Mando came up from the side.
All right. So now you've won 2 galactic qualifiers, one with a first order list, one with the scum list. Here's the question. I'm not asking you to give away tactics necessarily, but is there do you have any faction goals? You're like, all right, listen, I found something in First Order, I found something in Scum. Are you looking at other factions? Do you have some goals within that type of list building stuff?
Yeah, so I fly 3 factions generally. It's First Order followed by, Scum now, and then CIS is my 3rd faction.
Okay.
So this Scum list that I played this weekend, I was, enjoying. I didn't think it was that good. I'd gotten batted around by a couple of really good players, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to go get the pin, and I'm going to go be happy. And I just kept the ball rolling from there. So CIS is the next pin to get. My local group is trying to get a group of us together to do Mustafar, so I could potentially play again in that one with some CIS shenanigans.
All right.
Man, Mustafar is where the Separatists were shut down, though. That's like an omen there. Or one last hurrah. You never know.
Exactly. This is before all that stuff happened, However, I do have some kind of unfortunate news. Right now, it does not look likely that I'll be able to play in Exegol.
Oh, he just comes. He's just collected. He's like, oh, and the final party. I can't make it.
And this honestly is, it hurts, but it's also kind of ironic at the same time. So for Coruscant, I missed Coruscant because of our season closer for Ultimate Frisbee here at UCF.
Yeah.
And that weekend for Exegol is our home opening tournament. So depending on weather, depending on, field dependency and what we can get with, the rec center here, I'll most likely be out there on the field. Otherwise...
So what I'm hearing is we need to get some people to do a rain dance on at least the first day, so Crispy has a chance to play. I can arrange that. No worries. I got you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So what we're gonna do, Crispy, next, we're gonna basically go through the top 16 worth of lists. Do you want to hang out? You don't have to. No pressure. You don't have to. You want to hang out?
Absolutely, talk about these. I mean, there are a lot of unique lists in here. There are a couple repeats of what we've seen, but I mean, the Rebel list is really fun. All of the Resistance lists that we're seeing, and a couple First Order surprised me as well. So I'd love to talk about them.
All right. Well, we'll start our roundabout. We're gonna start with our. We obviously talked about the champions list. Go ahead, Will. Our runner-up with William Hayes.
Mention quick the
Yes.
faction breakdown as well.
Oh, yes. We should probably just do that first, eh?
Well, we get excited about list.
We do.
But
We
I
do.
just see it here. You got a nice graphic for it. So, notable 23, what is that? Empire, 19 Scum, 16 First Order, 14 Republic, 9 Separatist, 7 Resistance, and 5 Rebels. I thought they were supposed to be a good faction.
Wait. I'm messing up the. I suck at Star Wars. The 14 is what?
Republic.
Okay, got it.
Republic, yeah.
So
I
you
always
said
get those
Prequel,
confused.
original trilogy, sequel.
Correct. They
Okay,
are
got
in
it.
timeline order.
Timeline. I think, to be fair, Empire is probably before Rebels, but yeah, that's semantics. Anyways. But moving on from those base numbers, so terrible turnout for Rebels. Everyone's given up on them, apparently. Empire still doing fantastic, as always. But in the cut, though, great representation here. 2 Separatist, 1 Republic, 1 Rebel, 1 Scum, 5 Empire, 5 Resistance.
Out of
making
7. Out of 7.
5
That's
out of
crazy.
7. That's
I'll give you the hard percentage numbers in a second when Will's done, but yeah,
okay.
it's high.
Then three First Order making in as well.
I wonder how many people on the Republic were like, "Hey, look at what Duncan did at Gen Con. Let me try to."
Spoiler, it
Republic.
ain't easy, but also
Try to
people
be
did.
Duncan. Like,
Well, so let's clarify, Dion. I think there should have been 2 Republic representation in the cut because one of the only undefeateds was Republic, and he couldn't play on Sunday. That correct?
Correct. This is what actually ended up playing it. He went 5-0, was like, I can't play. is what happened. So yes, there is a I guess an asterisk next to that number 1.
So on the percentage side of things, you're looking at like cut rates. They're wildly like way up and down. Like Separatist 22, that sounds like an average number. Rebel 20, even though it's low amount, that's a pretty average number. Empire 22, okay, we're in the 20s, and then you got on the low end, Scum at 5%. That's it. That's like terrible. But apparently, you only need 1. Clearly, only need 1. Republic at 7%. Single digit cut rates. That's abysmal. Granted, like some of these being, let's see, I mean, Scum had so much that they brought though too, like 19, second highest out of the whole group. And then you look on, well, First Order 19%. That's another average range of cut, but Resistance is 71%. Like, well then, if you brought Resistance, you basically made the cut. in out of just a percentage alone. It's pretty telling, at least on the end of maybe what Resistance is starting to form around. We're seeing sort of an average foundation, I would say, in most Resistance lists that is proving to be successful. But I'm gonna challenge you, Rebel players. You need to be more innovative. I think there's stuff there, but you need to get your head out of the alpha strike territory because it's not working anymore with the chaff clouds around, people knowing how to move around them. It's a scenario game as well. Like, can't just straight up and say, I'm going to come kill you and expect to win all your games.
the problem with that is that.
But I heard I get points for that anyway.
Yeah, the problem with that is outside of the Rebel Alpha, the other things that you're talking about, like start looking outside of the other things that you do. The other factions do it better and more entertaining.
Which may be true, but
so that's
have we seen people try? I don't know if we have the numbers to say that they've effectively tried enough.
Yeah, we've seen a couple for Ewing lists. We see Callus floating up more and more. Callus should be, if you can bump Wedge up to Callus, find that extra squad point in your list to get that massive tank out there. And then I think the other direction might be what Dread Champ calls Rebel Jank, which is 2 Y-Wings, B-Wings, Sheathipeds, like just start throwing in as many good pieces as you can to get to about 5 or 6 squads or ships in your squad. Could be advantageous as well, but yeah, turns out Wedge and Luke won't always win you games.
Yeah,
So-
I think some of the ships I've looked at is like trying to fit these into lists. Like Ahsoka A-Wing seems really good still, even outside of the alpha list that she has been in the past with like the Luke, Wedge, Ahsoka, Ezra tie. Hera probably should be used more when there's stuff that's trying to jam you and take your tokens away. And she's kind of like a high initiative coordinator, but at like perfect information levels of mods. B or A. I think A because I think the B being 6 points is probably 6 points you're giving up. But
one thing that I did notice just scanning across the Rebel list, a distinct lack of U-Wings. There was a single U-Wing in the entire tournament among the 5 Rebel lists, and they have a lot of value. They can contribute a lot to the list. They've got, I mean, Magva is an insane defensive piece. Her, preventing offensive rerolls for your opponent is really, really good, especially, because there's a lot of heavy hitters out there. And then you've got Cassian, you've got all the crew that comes with it, and you can slap one in there for 5 points and easily fit in, 3-4 other cheap ships.
Very
do you
true.
think if you pick one U-Wing to start playing around with the list, now that this isn't like a static thing, but if you're starting somewhere, do you go Saw? Do you go Magva? Do you go Benthic? I think those are the 3 you consider.
Yeah, I'd start with Benthic. Just being able to have that token passing ability. And of course, like you can get the classic like Percop and Jyn Erso, and I believe you can put like Contraband on there as well, and just be an I2 defensive tank as much as you want. I believe you can also stick. Does Benthic have a talent slot?
No.
Yes, he does.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're.
Yeah.
He's
so
talented.
that's Notorious on an I2 ship. Which
Yes.
will most likely get that strain benefit if anyone shoots at him. So
But you
true.
can't fit Perceptive, Jyn, and Alyssa
No.
and Notorious though.
Yeah, you have to take your Contraband and your.
Take base Malbus instead of Perceptive and just get in tight.
No. How about no? All right. Well, let's stop theory crafting. Let's talk real list here for a moment. So let's going to the runner-up. That's Sev Wall, William Hayes, flying a Galactic Empire list. This is a 5x4. So every pilot costs only 4 points, and you get 5 of them. I got some real discounts here. Vizier with Palpatine in the Reaper. Such a great piece. Maybe the best 4-point, though this list has a lot of other good ones. Pure Sabak with Targeting Computer and Proxy Mines. Ditching. Don't need that elusive. Get out of here. Vagabond, which is the ailerons, then drop a bomb. Super nasty with Proxy Mines and Proton Bombs. You could drop 2 Proxy Mines in a round. Devastating if you let that thing get in close. Countdown has got the ability to essentially cancel your attack and take a damage in a stress. Got ion bombs, marksmanship, elusive, targeting computer. So kind of more of a spread there than just focusing on the bombs. And then Commandant Goran with shield upgrade and sensitive controls. So you can give evades to Vagabond and Vizier to help protect them if they find themselves in trouble. Great way to get Vagabond into the fight and start dropping those proxy mines. They might not be able to hear you, Dion. Check your mic.
Get wrecked. I was muted because I was sneezing. Anyway, it was great to see this list in action when it was winning as well. You got to see how deadly some of those bombs can be, and if your target priority is not right in the opening, you could be very sad. You could be very sad.
Yeah, no, I've been toying. Well, actually, all three of you guys know what I've been toying with. I've been sharing it, and the most, the second most underused ship that is not underused anymore because it made it to the final here is Countdown. Countdown's ability to single-handedly face off against their top fighter, because usually the way people set up now with objectives is like they spread around and they put their heavy hitter in one side, and Countdown can look at that heavy hitter and say, I don't care, I'm going to action and take this, and you get critted, well, I'm going to take that crit and turn it into a stress and 1 damage, and I can still boost with so Countdown, I think, is the second most underused ship in the Galactic Empire. First one, hopefully, we're talking about it next week after Nova.
Yeah, we do have another major tournament just around the corner. Got good stuff. All right, well, Marcel, we got another Empire list here, a little more traditional, we will say, from
So
Kevin O'Connell.
We've got the famous old Jingle Jingle Wampa and Iden. I think most people is Jingle Jingle Wampa Iden. And I'm trying to see. Well, I guess there's a little bit of a change here. It's the heavy laser cannon targeting computer ruthless elusive versus, I think most people go with elusive and ion. So there's a little bit of variance there in when you can build out your Iden, and sometimes people take like false transponders or something else on ISBs or overtuned. Darth Vader and the TIE Defender with Malice, Juke, heavy laser cannon. Again, there's a choice there between the heavy laser cannon and the cluster missiles. And then Valen Ruder with... does he only get 1 point? He just went marksmanship for the crates, or...?
Yeah, it's 1 point.
Oh, he only gets 1 point. Okay, so a 1 point Valen Rudor. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 TIE fighters, but it's essentially 5. It's 5 TIE fighters, right? But it's essentially 6 TIE fighters because Iden is a +1. So Iden brings a +1. So it's essentially 6 TIE fighters plus the best ship in the game, the best solo ship in the game, Defender Vader. Very solid.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think Empire's got some of the best efficiency in the game. I think Jingo Jingo Wampa is the best 6 points that money can buy across any faction right now. I mean, just being able to have all that and then stick Iden in there as well, and you can't address them early, really stands it out. And then after all that TIE Swarm, there's a Vader Defender just sitting across from you with a heavy laser cannon who will set up last and will sit up directly across from you.
Making people sad.
HLC, boom, boom.
Yeah. Until he sees Countdown and realize all those dice and hits he's rolling is going to net 1 damage.
That's why Vader goes the other way, and the TIE Fighters go after Countdown and say, look at all these shots. You can't stress yourself for all of them.
That is true. The Countdown's like, I blocked one, but I got more.
I got a lot more. One side note, I'll say, so Chris, you had mentioned that, I guess maybe you can clarify this because this is what I want to kind of instill in people when they're facing down a lot of TIE fighters, that Iden is there. Similar to some of the thought process people had with Quick Draw, you got to burn that early. The longer that hangs around, the worse it's going to be for you as the game continues, and you likely have not just less shots, but less quality shots because your actions you've had to take just to get the shot. All your high optimization comes in the first engagement for most people. After that, it's trying to reestablish that as best as you can, but it's normally never going to get to that point. So burn Iden while you can, I would say, or as soon as possible. That's why FO bombers dropping prox mines and grudge making it a 50-50 chance to just do 3 damage is a great use. Even if it does nothing and just gets idened, that iden charge is used on not a shot, and that's not what they want.
Yeah, and I mean, most players will save that Iden charge for the first time that their TIE fighter would be destroyed. So I very rarely see people say, all right, I'm going to keep Iden for someone else, or like, oh, I'm going to let Valen Rudor blow up, but I'm going to let, I'm going to keep it for Iden to protect herself later. Most people have moved towards, all right, you've rolled 4 hits, I've rolled 3 blanks, all right, that attack didn't happen. And that is basically an extra ship.
Well, let's have that conversation. Let's have that conversation because I think we saw twice this weekend where people tried to save it, and that was the reason they lost the game.
Yep.
Like, is there
More
what
ships
is the
is good.
situation? Say it again.
More ships is good.
More ships is good. So is there
tried to save the Iden charge and let another TIE fighter die?
right? They let a TIE fighter die instead
Did that
of
TIE fighter have Dead Man switch?
it did not.
Okay,
It did
that's
not.
really weird.
And that's my
I
question.
can see some of the decision for Dead Man switch because situationally it might do more damage, it might be worth it.
Right, and that's kind of what I wanted to roll into here is what are the situations where you let Iden, where you choose not to use Iden's ability. So you mentioned a dead man switch, cascading effect.
So another one would be you have a ship like facing the wrong direction, not shooting anything, and then you have probably a follow-up shot on like a Jingo range 1 with a focus that you can strain and put some serious damage out to, and that shot still coming, in like the initiative 556, for example. It's like, okay, that one got torpedoed out. I'm going to let that one pass. There's another 4 dice shot coming at this one, but this one needs to put some serious damage into this wedge or into this Luke or something like that. Like a situation like that, but it's super nuanced that I don't. Because most of your ships are usually facing the same direction anyway, so it's hard to imagine a situation outside of what Ryan said where there's like a death effect that's gonna make a difference.
It's not only Dead Man's, right? We saw
Disciplined.
I don't know if, in Solace or whatever, there was a Mornarchy plus a lot of TIE fighters list that had like Ruthless, Discipline, Dead Man switch. Like they were all inning on the offense with TIE fighters who had concussion missiles, stuff like Gideon who can get a 4-die concussion missile, and just say, I'm gonna put a Jingoist here and I might kill it myself before you can do anything about it anyway, just to get all these triggers off and do more damage to you than the one TIE fighter that did die. So unless it's intentional, I see very few situations where it's worth saving it for, because it's not like Iden's charge is good to keep a ship around. Whether or not you are trying to save it, my only thought process might be like, you're saving because you'd rather help Iden specifically stay alive because she is 3 points, the other TIE fighters are 2. But you're still giving up points, and there's no guarantee Iden's going to die by the end of the game anyway.
Good
So
point.
I got a real quick philosophical question for you guys.
Ooh.
So there's definitely points need to go up on Jingle Jingle Wampa and the whole thing, right? Because
Well,
that's
not
just
before we release our Christmas card.
Sure,
But continue.
Yeah.
Christmas card. But here's the question that I have. So Jingle Jingle, Iden is 3. The ISBs are 2, and Wampa is 2, obviously. But they have double life, so you have a 2-ship list with double life because Iden is there doing that. In lists like other ones that have something like a Defender Vader, a Vizier, a 4-ship list that has a single Jingoist or Wampa there, the Jingoist or the Wampa are not necessarily, I mean, they're a 2-point ship and they feel like a 2-point ship because there's going to be a list that shows up and just one-shots it and they're dead. And it's like, hey, yeah, it's my 2 points, whatever, you got it. So are these 2-point ships so ridiculously low because there's something like Iden and the rest of what is supporting that, or because you can't take up Wampa up. Well, Wampa's fine. You can't take the both Jingoists up and Iden up, which they all deserve it, because then they're going to be unplayable. If the ISBs are 3s and Iden is 4, nobody's going to fly that.
If you can give Wampa a cannon or a missile, because his ability does not say primary. Whew.
There you go.
But the counter to that is that, or a response, I guess, maybe not a counter. We'll see. Well, let me get my thoughts out first. We'll see if it's against what you think. Previously, so we had one or two 2-point ships in each faction. Okay, very few factions were getting multiple 2-point ships, and now we have 2 factions, Separatists and the Empire, who can take multiple 2-point ships, and they're decent ones. Valen just flying around taking an evade, and if you shoot at him or his friends, he gets a focus, and then everything we talked about been talking about Jingoists since they came out. And it's that compounding effect of like you put it, I think, very clearly, of like 1 2-point ship, whatever, like don't care, like go get your objective, little guy. But then once you have 2, 3, 4, 5, well, maybe not 5, but like 4 of these 2-point ships all flying around in the same list, it's just a multiplicative, right, it's too late, I can't see that word. It's a exponential effect that now every target is a bad choice. Whether you're shooting at Wampa or Jingoist, you're spending a whole round sometimes trying to score 2 points. And that's, I think, the difference is that a lot of lists aren't bringing just a single filler. They're trying to bring the whole Jingo Wampa and Iden as like half of their list. And I think that's where it really diverts out that, like, I think I agree, like, Wampa is a 2-point filler, sure, like, whatever, like, that seems fair. But, like, a 5 tie swarm that you can get for 11 points, like, that is impressive and, like, noteworthy.
So, I mean, I definitely think that in most cases, any of these TIE fighters at 2 points go up to 3, they're pretty much unplayable. They weren't playable when they were 3 before. Not much is going to make them playable without just going insane with their loadout and slots. But even then, it's questionable. It's really Iden that's making them tick and stay around, hang around. Like Marcel said, there's lists that have them and don't have Iden. They take that risk, but it'll happen. They'll just get popped and they'll die. But I think the question is Iden an issue at 3 alone? Or is Iden an issue at 3 because she has access to some of her loadout, like being able to take an ion cannon that gives her an extra dice that makes her shot more meaningful? Would losing just the ability to have a viable secondary weapon that doesn't require an action to take or doesn't require a lock specifically, is that enough and keep her at 3? Should she be 4 but keep most of her loadout, maybe gain more loadout because
I'll tell you why not. And I know we're getting off a little topic right there, but it's because this is what we're seeing a lot, right? But the reason why not is because that is using the assumption that Iden, again, let's count Iden as a life up or a plus life, right? Like it's an additional ship because you're basically keeping a ship alive that already died. That 3-point ship is, if it keeps a 2-point ship alive, because that's usually what it's being flown with, Wampa and 2 Jingoists, okay. But what if you're flying it with the ship that nobody ever uses, whatever, the one that gives the rerolls?
Hell Runner, 4-point
like,
TIE fighter, Hell Runner.
You have you have a 4-point ship that could have been killed and decides to take 0 damage as a result. Now that it gave you an additional 4 points, and the benefits of an additional 4 points on your list. So I think the cannon makes Iden more valuable, but also Iden just helps keep someone alive that may be worth more points. You've got different TIE fighters, so it makes all your TIE fighters more valuable. So I personally wouldn't mind if Iden didn't exist in standard play. Like, I wouldn't mind. Like, that's one of those ships that I would be like, you got rid of the bumpy one that was like, you reduce your agility by bumping. Like, you got rid of that. Like, Iden is more impactful and more downside than that.
So I, for one, would not like to see more stuff on the ban list. I understand why certain things are over there. I do think that we can fine tune some things.
I have to say, I would have never thought to hear Marcel say, let's put something on the ban list. But anyway,
And
continue.
that's something that I use. That's something that because it's good. I use it.
I think the problem is just that this is a 3 agility spammed force multiplier. If you look at the other factions, there is not a single Z95 that is even 2 points. And yet, the Empire gets all their generics and 3 named ones. I'm counting Jingo as 2 because you're gonna take them in a pair. There's not a Rebel Z95 that's 2 points. There's not a Scum Z95 that's 2 points. If you look over at Separatists, the only other faction that has 2-point options, you don't see any more than 3 or 4. I've seen like 4 max because they don't force multiply. Most people are taking independent calculations now. They're not stacking like Seer is nowhere near meta play or anywhere near competitive right now because those vultures just die. Iden, on the other hand, is not only are you spamming 3 agility, but you're basically just creating another one. Separatist doesn't have that. Rebels doesn't have that. I think people are just unhappy about it because they look at that and go, why can't I do that? Like they just don't have the same firepower. So either we need to get other factions on that same power level, or we need to take away that spam.
I mean, isn't there something just iconic about like the TIE fighters being like coming in mass? Like they are an iconic ship.
I'll be
generic
okay.
ones that don't shoot very well with
No,
the
I
stormtroopers,
agree
but
that
you
like
got
they
named
can
ones. You got like
they can keep the Black
All right.
Squadron at 2 points, but maybe not the names.
Sorry, Valen Rudor. Like no one, like everyone loves Iden and the Jingos and Wampa. If you just drop Valen Rudor from the list, it's still pretty competitive, right? So you just make the Jingos 3 and you drop Valen, and that is still a very potent list. Like just make the Jingos 3. Wampa can stay at 2. That's not a problem. And honestly, give the Jingos more loadout. I don't like give them maybe a mod slot, maybe 2 illicit slots, 10 loadout.
That's too much. A guaranteed contraband. You end up with contraband dead man. They're just going around zapping people and said, "Kill me!"
I want to live in a world where Jingoists are 3 points, but they have afterburners and deadmans.
Wow.
Come
Strong
back
choice.
here, I'm going to explode.
So they're 3 points. You're more likely. I mean, they're worth more if you lose them. But on the other hand,
People would just take shield upgrades with that loadout.
She's probably right.
That sounds
right,
like that's another card we need to just ban. Shield upgrade, gone. Make more people cry.
Up. Get it out of here. Do not like it.
All right.
I'm
Anyways,
bridging my
I think.
Stubbs capability to take shield upgrade.
Oh, fair enough. Anyways,
True.
We have people clamoring in our chat, Dion, for a separatist list. I think we've been making them wait long enough.
All right, it's time. Ryan, take a look at Juan Calle's list.
All right, we have a Django plus many things list. Let's start with the Django first, and we'll get to those things. Django with Notorious, Count Dooku, Seismic, False Transponders, Contraband Cybernetics, Slave 1, and Boba Fett Gunner. Count kind of not too far different from most other Jangos. People opt into either Savage, Count Dooku, or Palpatine, opting in for a cheaper bomb to fit the second illicit. The first illicit you take is false transponders. The second is contraband if you're considering it. And then opting whether or not you go for that gunner Boba Fett or seeing if you can fit and up that to veteran tail gunner and shift some other points around to make it work. Boba Fett's still a very good option, though. Passive mods are good. For the other things, so normally this is a different batch of hyenas and vultures most people are familiar with. A lot of people are familiar with seeing, look at all the I3 ones I have, not just because they're I3, just because the ones we are used to seeing. We do see DFS 081. But instead of taking Discord missiles, we have the energy shell charges with munitions failsafe and grappling struts. But then we have two of the only other vultures that can take energy shell charges, which is the Haorchal prototypes, the I1s that have energy shell charges and grappling struts. And then we have two hyenas, but they're not bombardment drones. They're the Bactoid prototypes, the I1 double-pipped hyena bombers with fire control system, Discord missiles, energy shell charges, independent calculations, and landing struts. Now, you may hear me say independent calculations. Those are only on the hyenas. The vultures actually kept their standard network calculations. Very interesting to see them actually intermixed. Most of the time, a whole list will commit to either all independent or all network to make sure they know who can share. Well, clearly we know who can share because it's chassis-based and it's standardized that way. But definitely not used to seeing the Bactoid prototypes at I1. We're used to seeing the bombardments at I3, taking those prox mines for those forward and back drops that are so dangerous. These ones, this is a initial first engage rush of, I'm going to shoot these energy shell charges. And then afterwards, I'll figure it out from there between Discord missiles on the Bactoid prototypes, or Django's still there, by the way. This is a 6-ship list. 2 hyenas, 3 vultures, Django Fett.
All right, let's keep it going. That was position number 4. Our 5th one here, another Imperial list. Take it, Crispy.
Yeah, so we have Tim Burnt with, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Bro, man, the D between the N and the T, oh wait, who knows?
Burnt, whatever. All right, so we have Darth Vader in the TIE Defender, the Boogeyman himself with Malice, Juke, Heavy Laser Cannon, Morna Key in the Decimator with Ruthless, Seventh Sister, Minister Tua, Agile Gunner, Proton Bombs, Delayed Fuses, and the Dauntless title. And then we have 2 ISV Jingoists with Deadman Switch. So once again, we see the best 4 points in Empire is split into 2 ships that are the 2 Jingoists. They are very, very efficient, and it's only 2 points if you lose them, and if you ignore them, they will hit you with 3 dice and a focus, and they'll give you a strain. So not something to mess around with that much. And then you have Ruthless on Morna Key, who can simply blow them up with Deadman Switch when the time is right. Very fun.
That Ruthless is absolutely dirty. Let's continue here. Matthew LaRoque, our first instance of the Resistance. We got Poe Dameron. This is the trigger-happy flyboy with Heroic, R4 Astromech, Ferrosphere Paint, Proton Torpedoes, Munitions Failsafe, Overdrive Thrusters, Integrated, Hex Foils, and Black One with Chewbacca in that YT-1300, Composure, Notorious, Ray, Contraband Cybernetics, and Ray's Millennium Falcon. We also have Wilsa Teshlo with Ion Cannon Turret, L4ER5, aka Larry, with Bomblet Generator, Targeting Computer Engine Upgrade, and then Finn in the pod with Heroic, Predator, and Perceptive Copilot. Now, one of the things I had been commenting on this list at Gen Con, and Crispy, I'm not sure if you saw any at Gen Con, and Will, I mean, we were all there. The people who were playing Resistance, I saw a ton of Chewbacca with spammed Y-Wings is mostly what we were seeing, right? And there was, I think, 1 or 2 people who did bring something similar to this. I love this version because what I was noticing that was happening to the Y-Wings is that because they're 1 agility and while they can boost, they're typically, at least the way people were playing them, they can get predictable. But this version, having Chewbacca and Poe, you have 2 end game pieces in the list. Because I know when I saw Chewbacca and the Y-Wings, the goal is kill Chewbacca first and figure out the rest later. You're going to be okay. But the problem is you get to the end game and you've killed Chewbacca and Poe's like, hi, I'm still here. Proton torpedo to your face, right? So this is a really good list and is dangerous in all of the objectives. You have Finn, Wilsa, and Chewbacca can all salvage is the one that everybody worries about, right? Those 3 ships gladly, they're like, sure, we'll pick up crates. Poe's like, nah, I'm good. But if you still have the opportunity to get a 3-2 advantage with that. Very solid. Obviously, you have a lot of speed here as well, and I think we're going to see a lot of variations on this theme for a while in Republic, with maybe a little bit more exploration of those Y-Wings. I wouldn't be surprised there because people figured out, hey, there's a lot of value here in those Y-Wings. Good stuff.
You're always on Hexal's, right, Crispy? You're like good with Scott.
Yes. Yeah.
So one of the what does he do? He does challenges or something like that. I don't know what you call them.
The bounties, yeah.
Bounties, yeah. So one of the bounties I'd like him to create is a kind of a variation for this.
Okay.
Is I see that Chewbacca a lot, but I would love to see that Chewbacca, instead of Composure Contraband, to be Dead Man and Electronic Baffle. Because I've got this dream of a one-halt Chewbacca, end of game, saying I'm going to baffle to boost into range 1 and take a shot at something and kill something else in order to win a game, like a very last-minute sacrifice of a Dead Man Electronic Baffle. Give that to Scott and tell him he's got to make that happen.
I absolutely will. We do have a bounty on IG-11 to actually do a damage with your crit explosion. I believe we've had near a dozen games, and only 1 person has actually got the crit damage, but that was after all of their ships have died. So I do like that. I think that there are a lot of fun mechanics. I mean, this is Chewbacca.
So you have to baffle into Dead Man switch.
Baffle into Dead Man switch.
Baffle.
Yeah, have to baffle into Dead Man. I like that.
Baffle into Dead Man and kill something, not
Well,
baffle into Dead Man.
because
I mean, you can baffle into Dead Man anytime, but kill something and win a game.
All right, I'll toss it in.
Interesting.
Love it. Well, let's keep it going here. We have another version of this list, a little bit similar here, coming from Paul Nixie. Take it, Will.
All right, Paul is flying. That's Trigger Happy Poe. This one bringing the ion torpedoes in addition to proton torpedoes, overdrives, Black One integrated R4 and heroic. So drops the Ferrosphere paint to fill. If you don't know, Poe actually, or the Trigger Happy Poe has a torpedo slot and the hard point. One of the few ships who can take the double torps. Anyways, we got Kazuda with Notorious, Bucket Droid, False Transponder Codes, Slam, Targeting Computer, Kaz's Fireball. Pretty traditional loadout there for him. Wilsa, again, very traditional loadout here. I really like this Wilsa. Ion Cannon, the Lars, or Larry Droid, or whatever his abbreviation is, that lets you quarterback calculates, essentially like Palp or 311 droid out there just slinging calcs. Bomblet generator, engine upgrade, and targeting computer. Man, not only do you get the 4 main upgrades, engine, targeting, bomb, and ion cannon, you get an amazing droid too. Oof. But then we have Shaza and Sai. rocking very similar things: ion cannons, belly runs. They got proton bombs, engine upgrade, and targeting computer. So with a little extra loadout there, getting the watchful astromech, so you can rotate and still get a calculate. Man, these Y-Wings just feel like little force users to me. When every action you do gets you a calculate, plus Wilsa's throwing her calculates at other people, Shaz is giving people behind her calculates if she's shooting. It could be pretty awesome to see when everything works together in this list.
All right, let's keep it moving. We got Sean Hawley with our first appearance of a first order list with one that I thought was pretty neat. Take it, Marcel.
Okay, so you've got Hollow and the Interceptor with Prod Tradition, Pattern Analyzer, Mag Pulse Warheads and Munitions Failsafe, Nightfall and the Whisper for Marksmanship Prockets, Sensor Scramblers, Enhanced Jamming Suite, 709 Legion Ace, another Whisper, generic, Marksmanship, Proton Rocket Sensor, Enhanced Sensor Scramblers, Enhanced Jamming Suite, and Whirlwind in the Tide Whisper with Marksmanship, Elusive, Proton Rocket, Sensor Scramblers, Jamming Suite, and then Commander Malris with Marksmanship and Cluster Missiles. Three Prockets, three Prockets and 5 ships that are able to, 2 of those ships are able to double modify their ordnance, that being Hollow and Commander Malris, and then 3 ships being able to essentially double modify their offense by modifying their offense with the focus and modifying the defensive mods with the jam. So very consistent fire output, and a twist from what we saw in Ecstasy, which is 5 Procket Whispers. I think this is probably an upgrade from that because it gives you more. It gives you 2 initiative 5s, and it gives you more choices. So a very cool list. I think this is a very creative and cool list. Well done.
Yeah. To me, this list screams, I'm going to win salvage. 4 out of the 5 ships have marksmanship, and the other one has mag pulse warheads. So there is crit generation on every single ship of this list. And with those decloaks into the 5 straights on those whispers, they can get those prockets off early if their opponent doesn't, check range, or they don't think that they're going to be in range. But that decloak into a 5 straight is a long distance, and when you only need range 2 for the procket, it's pretty scary. I mean, Malris I think is great value at 3, and Hollow, an underrated piece in first order for 5 points. Great support ship, great endgame piece as well.
I will tell you, we did see Sean play this, and opening move, decloak straight, 5 straight, focus, procket, a ship. It was dirty. He took a hound in a lat down to 2 hull in the first turn is what happened. It was nasty. Absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, just really cool to see triple whispers out there doing some work. I think I might bring this list to our next league night. That looks like fun. That looks like fun. I look forward to blowing up all the whispers and not doing great, but having fun. Being able to go zoom is always good. Jared K bringing a variation on something that we kind of already talked about with Defender Vader plus TIE Swarm essentially there. The next one I want to hit here, Ryan, is Daniel Leon's list, our first appearance and only appearance, if I'm not mistaken, right? We had 1 Rebel get into the cut.
Yep, this would be the Lonely Rebel. So Daniel Leon running a 4-ship Rebel. We'll start with some of the familiar faces. We have Luke Skywalker doing the trick shot, shattering shot, proton torpedo with R3 astromech, saying, don't be behind an asteroid and give me a lock. You're going to regret it. We have Fenrau Sheathipede with Swarm Tactics, Tristan Wren, R4 loadout. So I'm normally not a proponent of the whole Swarm Tactics Tristan Wren R4, but there's a very specific piece why this is actually working really, really well. We have Aaron Kraken in Z95 running elusive fire control system and ion torpedoes. So this Fenrau can make Kraken I6, which then Kraken can then shoot and then give someone else an action that they needed, whether it is Luke to get the lock that he really needs, whether it is the other big ship, Callus in the VCX is the 4th ship to round it out at 7 points with Saw Gerrera crew, dorsal turret, and the other action trick to use, whether it is being coordinated from Fenrau or used from Kraken, is Hondo Onaka. Another card I brought up a couple weeks ago, by the way. Hondo coming in the potential engagement action to coordinate and jam 2 ships who are friendly to each other, which can also be extremely good. And also extremely good if it's even just coordinated at I6 via Fenrau. To say, all right, I'm going to have one of my ships get coordinated at range 3, and I'm going to jam Luke because he took 2 locks on rocks early in the game, and who cares, right? Mm-hmm. Or the enemy. At I6, there's probably some ships who've done some linked actions that you can coordinate and whatever. Or you can coordinate a random tie who's still there and, okay, you get an evade. I'm not shooting you anyway. And then jam something. Range 3 jam. Coordinate range 3. That's huge. On a big base, by the way. That big coverage. Big. I've actually seen him run it. This has also been something I've seen ran a couple times on Hexiled, with some variations of success. You know, not all games were winners, but worked out well, at least in this event. Was something he had been practicing, and obviously did well enough to make cut. I think I love seeing more VCXs on the board. I just got done watching Rebels through again. Just my wife just started putting Star Wars stuff in the background and going chronological order, and she was just gonna do the movies. I'm like, no. You have the Clone Wars, and you got the other stuff, and we got through Rebels. Man, I think I'm ready to put my foot down. I think Rebels might be the best Star Wars content. Just plain, flat out, it is the best Star Wars content.
A little rough season 1 and 2, but wow, they hit their stride. When Ezra cuts his hair, it's great from then on. But
even in some of the early stuff, it's good. It's Ezra feels kind of like an Ahsoka. Feels like a little brat early on, but it grows with you, right? That's the point.
It's
Dave
crazy.
Filoni knew that with Ahsoka.
It's crazy, like, if you give somebody, like, a couple years to tell a story in a consistent manner, and it's, like, one person's vision, and it kind of goes all the way through, how it kind of all connects.
Shocking.
Makes sense.
Now, granted, Star Wars did work with different directors in the original trilogy, so, I mean, it still can work. But, yeah, I love seeing more Rebel-type characters, especially the VCX out there. It's really cool.
All right, we'll keep it going here. Eric Garshall taking a resistance list as well. We still got Poe. We got Rey instead of Chewie here, and then double Y-wings. Similar idea. You got 2 heavy hitters and kind of 2 Y-wings taking up the flank. Levi Shadat. We have TIE Advance Vader Farroff taking up that other spot, plus TIE Fighters. I wanted to hear Crispy's thought on Chris Perez's list here. You got a first order list with at least one familiar face.
Yeah, all right. So Chris Perez, I know him from yet another X-Wing podcast, so well done. Good shout out. But this is an amazing foe list looking at it. You have Kylo Ren and the Silencer with Brilliant Evasion, Sensor Scramblers, and Proton Torpedoes. You have Hollow with Prejudition, Pattern Analyzer, and Homing Missiles. Breach with Plasma Torpedoes, Homing Torpedoes, and Proximity Mines. And then you have Commander Malorus with Concussion Missiles. So very ordnance-heavy ace list, all I-5s.
Super good, super good. Our next list is also first order heavy here with Matthew Wilson with a little bit of a twist. Will?
All right, Matthew Wilson. He's bringing Kylo Ren Silencer, Malice and Proton Torpedoes all in on that offense. Still's got Electrotraft through Grudge. Typical build here, elusive, skilled bombardier, proxy mines, and a modification. He's chosen delayed fuses. Then, well, I guess you could see auto targeting or whatever it's called. Anyways, Malorus with Marksman, Cluster, Scorch, how you should build Scorch, all offense, Fanatical, Predator, Advanced Optics, and Static with Fanatical, Predator, and Advanced Optics. So opting not to take the cannon there, really, on Static, going for the Advanced Optics, more consistent 2 dice over a variable 3 there. This is interesting. So drops one, essentially drops a Dread down to Static to get the better Kylo. And I really like Kylo Silencer. I was flying something very similar to the last list with Kylo in it. And man, he's just as good as he's ever been in that Silencer chassis. Well, maybe not supernatural good, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
I got you. And by the way, when we gloss over a player, it's not because it's any disrespect. It's because there's been something similar to it. Like I'm going to do to Josh K here. Ray, Poe, Wilsa, Shasa. If you want more details, take a look on List Fortress. We have it all there. Marcel, I want you to take a look at Don Copin's list, our next Separatist variation we have here.
Very fun. So General Grievous with, interesting, Daredevil, Afterburners, and Impervium Plating, and Solus. Once not going with the traditional outmaneuver. Then you got Zam Wessel instead in the fire spray instead of Django. That's a neat little blast from the past. With Notorious, Savage Operas, Proximity Mines. I know I messed up the pronunciation. I have to deal with it.
Well, nobody was going to say. Nobody was going to call you on it.
Oh, trust me. They thought it. I got munchies in my mouth, so I'm still doing this. So, false transponder codes, delayed fuses, and Slave 1 title, and the very fun one, Sunfac. In the Nantex class Starfighter with Ensnare, Gravatic Deflection. People might not remember what that is. That's basically you get to reroll if you're jammed. Crack Shot and Targeting Computer. So, pretty interesting 3-ship list. Sunfac can just make... Sunfac is such a conundrum because he can make any small base ship sad, but any medium and large base ship just makes him sad. So that is so matchup dependent. Sunfac is such a conundrum. I like Shurtek because it's cheaper. It makes me feel less sad when I see a medium and large base ship across the board. But yeah. Fun list.
So is that Sunfac a? I mean, it's an answer to things like Defender Vader, right?
It's an answer to Defender Vader, Wedge, all the I-5s. Like you see Kylo across the board or something like that. Like whatever. Guess what? Jam does not get rid of my tractor beam. So I see a shaft cloud. I'll be like, okay, I'll take the shaft cloud. Now you're tractored and I'm not in your arc, and I'm shooting you with extra dice.
Don't get stressed.
Don't get stressed. Yeah,
Don't get stressed.
Stress is bad. But yeah, it's a super nasty ship, and then it becomes a pincushion when it sees Rey across the board. Like, what am I gonna do? Die. So
did you guys talk about the Savage and Daredevil combination?
No, I didn't even know what the combination is. So why don't you?
All right, so I just want because we normally see outmaneuver, so people don't use Daredevil as much
on General Grievous. Yeah,
right. But Savage, Oppress, newer Force user, if a ship in your front arc, I think it's front arc or front half, either way, takes a stress or strain, I think it is, you can spend your force to give them a focus token. So it's a way for Grievous to still get modifications while doing the Daredevil boosting. Or slooping as well. I just really think Savage Press is such a great value. Obviously, turning a force into a focus is good, right? But there's very few force users we see for their ability rather than just like a defensive or offensive mod. Like Vader Crew, I think is like maybe Seven Sister are really the only two that come to mind where they're more than just a force point.
All right, let's keep it going. Next, we got Kyle Borgolt. Now, real quick, is this the same as Duncan's list, or is there a variation here?
There's some upgrade differences.
All right, hit me,
Yoda
Ryan.
for sure.
So, running at least the base pilots are the same. You got Anakin 7B, Obi-Wan Delta 7, Contrail, Hound. The Hound is running Yoda, Agile Gunner, 7th Fleet. So opting for the 2-Force potential coordinate usage, the purple coordinate, and potentially the usage of allowing these Jedi to at least do their purple evade and might not have a cost force. And let me double check their FTC ability to see if it also stacks on it. I don't think so. After you fully, you may spend a force to perform a regular boost to barrel. Yep. The only reason why that works with the ADAs is specifically calls out a purple boost or barrel with their system phase reposition. Also, the contrail's actually exactly the same. Running the R7A7 Bash proton bomb delayed fuses, crack shot. And then we have Obi-Wan in the Delta 7. With calibrate laser targeting, elusive, those are both the same. Shield upgrade because Anakin is the one using R2D2 with spare parts, canisters, crack shot, and compassion. Compassion opting not to take the combination of chopper, astromech on Anakin, and R2D2 on Obi-Wan.
A little bit of a different variation there. Now we get to Dread Champ, who brought, what did you call it earlier? Will, you called it Resistance Jank?
Rebel Jank. Hey, what? There ain't no Poe in here. Get that out of here.
All right, take it, Crispy.
Yeah, all right. So we have Dreadchamp here with Kaz, Notorious, R1J5, which is Bucket, Falchion Spotter Codes, Advanced Slam, Targeting Computer, and Kaz's Fireball. Then we have, 3 Y-Wings kind of split up here. We have Kai, Shasa, and Lega, all with their typical upgrades, Starting Computer, Engine Upgrade, Ion Cannon Turret. You have Ion Bombs on Kai, Proton Bombs on Shasa and Lega, Tearfon Belly Run on all of them, and Automated Target Priority and Concussion Missiles on Lega. Then you have 2 Transport Pods, Finn and Rose. Finn with Elusive, Heroic, and Perceptive Copilot. Rose Tico with Automated Target Priority and C-3PO. So 6 ship list. You got kind of, I see a lot of people moving towards like the spam where it's like 5 ships and then you have your ace. Like you got 5 TIE fighters and you have Vader. You have your 5 drones and you have Jango. And here we have, 5 Y-Wings and pods that are gonna, swarm and be together. And then you have Kaz.
The best pilot in the galaxy.
The best pilot in the galaxy. Once again, with Notorious. Notorious is a pretty staple upgrade in Resistance now that I'm seeing. He's everywhere on Kaz. Most Chewbacca's have him as well. So,
I mean, spoiler alert, if you can take Notorious, you probably should.
Yes. The fact that it is 2 points is really good. Buy. I mean, I'm assuming that Notorious is going to get the same enduring treatment and go from like 2 to 5. Maybe 4 in the next points update, but until then, Notorious is really, really strong for its value, and you can just slap it on Kaz, and now no one wants to shoot him, and he can pretty much go about his day.
Yay! Just fly around and do what he wants. And our last one, this was Alan Clark. He went undefeated and was unable to play. So I did want to give him a shout out. I think it's Marcel's turn, right? I did a little jumping around. Nope. Ryan. I'll yeet it over to Ryan. Take it, Ryan.
Right. Alan Clark running a Republic list. Starting off with Stub with shield upgrade, opting to say, all right, I'm going to have a 5 health Z95 that when I do even maneuvers, I'm 3 agility. When I do odd maneuvers, I have 3 attack dice.
So, so you're saying a Republic Z95 minus, I know he couldn't play, but basically made the cut. This is like a first appearance type of thing.
Maybe the first appearance. I'm not sure.
There was not.
Kraken was in that Callus list, I thought.
I'm talking about the Republic one.
Oh,
the
Republic.
new sparkly ones. Yeah.
Not my Z95.
Continue.
All right, we got Broadside in the Republic Y-Wing with dedicated ion cannon turret, R4 astromech, proton bombs, and delayed fuses. A very, very reliable ion cannon turret, as long as it's pointed to the side. But not a commonly seen ship. This might be one of the first times we've seen Broadside in 2.5 actually making cut. This is a ship I haven't talked about, at least in this sort of recap capacity, since before Objectives at least. Mm-hmm. We have Hawk in the lat, not Hound, Hawk, the I-4 lat that used to always be taken. Now Hound's always taken because he's got more loadout. So Hawk has 3 less loadout, opts to take dedicated barrage rockets, Night Owl commandos, so running those new super commando Mandalorians, and agile gunner. We have Contrail with ion limiter override, precision ion engines, Besh, and Proxmine. So opting to double down on the ability to do those red maneuvers and still allowing potentially a barrel roll if wanted via ion limiter override. And precision ion engines can change that 2K to a 2 sloop. When Contrail activates, can decide which direction Contrail would like to go. Not too often you see that, since most of the time people are trying to do the boost link into lock, and you're stressed. But obviously, Alan may play Contrail in a different capacity, focuses more often, or just doesn't go for the linked action too much. And then finally, we have Rick Oley in the Naboo N1 Starfighter with Daredevil Fire Control System, R2C4, and advanced proton torpedoes. Very big shot. And then we have... I think Daredevil on Rick Oley is really nice because you could opt to just do the straight maneuver instead of the bank, and then say, all right, now I want to cut in, and just Daredevil turn.
Rick Oley is a name that we have not heard in a long time.
Like he just along with Broadside. So both of them, yeah.
All right,
For 5 points, if you, it's hard to go against the Jedi. Like that could have been Obi or Plo. That could have been Barris as a 7B fighter. But it worked for Alan. Rick Oley has that speed and gets rewarded with that speed. R2C4 is getting a lot more play on any N1s now, because in case they don't look at you and you're not using that evade, you can use it offensively for 1 eyeball assault.
All right, well, that is our top cut. Lots of cool lists. And now, Crispy, I'm going to toss this question over to you. We have the Nova Open this weekend, and we know that, like, X-Wing lists can evolve, like the meta can evolve fairly quickly. There's a lot of reactionary stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple copies of your list there, just because people say, hey, that's neat, I want to play it. let's go a little farther out than that. You know, we started, the cycle started, bring proton torpedoes, bring chaff clouds, bring swarms, right? We're kind of going around this circle. What do you think?
Bring passive mods.
Bring passive. Yeah. I mean, where do you think some of the evolution? What evolutions do you see maybe happening going forward?
Oh boy, that is. I've never been known for my clairvoyance, but I can take a stab at this. So, just taking a look at, everything going on, I think that we are going to see, and this is going to be my take, the return of dual fire spray, whether that be Scum or CIS, because they are very adaptable, very, heavy hitting, and they do have enough points in the list to bring a third ship to help them out. You have Kanan and Scum, very effective, and on CIS for 3 points, you can get a bombardment drone to drop proxies. You can get just a generic bomber to bring chaff. You can bring Doofus to pass out calcs and help out your fire sprays. I think we're going to see more jank and more kind of salad-like lists. I don't think that my scum list generally fits a particular archetype. It's just, I'm going to throw 2 beefy ships at you, and oh yeah, there's other stuff in the list. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see more lists that can adapt, less one-dimensional lists. Like obviously, Rebel Alpha is a thing of the past now. Like, we didn't even see it at all, really, this weekend. I think there might have been one archetype, or it was Luke Wedge and a couple others. Mm-hmm. But that's a very one-dimensional list. Like, it's going to throw its torps, or it's going to lose. We're going to see more lists that have many ways to win. We're going to see possibly munitions mixed with bombs. We're going to see maybe different kind of control pieces, different styles of lists. A lot of people have been doing the swarm, like the 5-ship swarm +1. Like, you have... I mean, I said the list, but that's very adaptable. You have those 5 ships where if something needs to get punched, they're going to punch it. And then you've got your end game piece that can, close out games, clutch games, go through and kind of have a bit more leeway on what its role needs to be. So, I mean, dual fire spray is really good, guys. Like, I'm not hinting at what I'm flying in CIS, but like, dual fire spray is kind of money right now.
I got smacked around at Gen Con by a dual fire spray, a version of it. So you got
as well.
Yeah. So it's lurking. It's bubbling. It is there. So caution.
It's interesting, Chris. I just want to pick your brain because you said that your list doesn't fit like a standard archetype, but to me, it's the scum version of Django, CAD, Grievous, and then filler, whatever. But your filler's a coordinator, and but you have to fly a Razor Crest instead of a fire spray. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, very similar to me.
No, I mean that is similar. I didn't think that was an archetype. I just thought that was the 3 best ships the 3 best kind of value ships in CIS. And then, there's a vulture droid. That's
I have 2 points to fill.
Yeah, he's sitting around back on a rock trying to hold down an objective.
Hey, objectives of your objective filler is a valuable piece in any list.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Well, Christopher, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We got some final things to do here, but I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful night, and just, I guess, go. You can continue your trophy hunt. Just go out there and just see what you find.
Can I say one final thing?
Yeah, of course.
Team USA, notice me. All right, bye guys.
Oh.
Yeah, William.
Okay, but hold on.
I'm in charge next year, so
I saw.
We'll be doing some scouting. Don't you worry.
I saw. Here is part of the problem, right? Is the deadline for players was like Crispy had been performing well, but we had limited data, objectives, and then like XCC set everything, and then Christian's like, by the way, I'm gonna go destroy the world, and just comes out of not necessarily out of left field.
To be fair, after the high mark that 21 XTC had, plethora of teams, streamers, it was a big event. You know, we didn't know the what do I want to say, size,
Yeah.
I guess might be the best way to describe it, of this year's XTC. So plus we came in second, so we just grabbed all of buddies. We can't just be like, well, second wasn't good enough, get out of our team here. Yeah, it was we said before, it was like a respect to our players. Unfortunately, though, sorry boys, we lost respect.
Listen.
They're all great players.
Still carrying the no.
8-1, baby. It's Marcel.
As the original commissioner of the U.S. team, I am willing to hold some type of competition within U.S. players to earn those seats, because we got to bring that trophy back next year, boys. It's got to happen. All right.
No, and to be fair, I think it was
silence. All right, what?
no, it was just I feel that that the whole interest level in the XCC overall, not just between the players, but between the players and the organizers, the streamers, how many people were streaming, how many people were engaged in what was happening, was just not there as it was a year
abysmal.
ago. Yeah, it was. But I think with 2.5 and that whole the exodus from the people that did exit is done and gone. Now you've got this coming weekend. You talked about Nova, but this coming weekend is also the Italian Nationals, which is also an Italian World's Qualifier, followed up by Spanish Nationals in Spain, and then there's going to be one in the UK coming up. And a lot of these countries that were poo-pooing on 2.5 are getting a little bit more love locally, and the excitement is starting to ramp up. So I think come next year, I think we're going to be starting to get back into last year's level of excitement and buzz around it. And I think Canada winning was a great thing for the buzz of it too, because
not to say that it wasn't a great event or we didn't have fun or anything like that. It was XCC super awesome event.
Fun.
Yeah,
the buzz around from the people not participating was not there.
Though.
Yeah.
No.
So I think Canada winning was a great thing for multiple reasons. One of them is because it kind of hits a little bit closer home to us because they're so close to us geographically. Mm-hmm. Even though obviously we're rooting for them for, if not anything else, for the fact that it's probably going to be in a Western time zone now. So that's probably the best benefit. But
the Europeans are going to say, it's in person. Come to Europe. Done. Bye.
But in person in Toronto.
That have basically never not won the XCC, which used to be the European Team Championship. Now it's on the West side. So now it's going to light a fire under their butts to be like, wait, we need to get this back. So I think it was, I think next year is going to be a lot more buzz, and I think it's a great idea that, like you said, that there's a some type of plan but I don't think a single tournament plan makes a whole lot of sense. But I think it's more of like a, what have you done for me
lately?
Late
12, for the past 12 months,
right?
I almost would like to see it be a 3-person team event where because individually is one thing, but getting
can
understanding
you function as a team.
Yeah, can you function as a team? Can you understand how matchups need to go, things like that.
So I would tell
you have to be willing to kind of bite your, I know I was giving Will a lot of crap about it, but you have to be willing to be okay with flying what you don't want to fly. Because
I wasn't particularly happy about my first order squad, the double shaft, but I knew everything about the list, and I knew that it would give other teams cause for concern of like, well, we can't just like throw anything at that.
Right.
So, but yeah, that is like very much part of the team. But Marcel, I'm sure you'll talk about, but like I just forced a list onto Marcel, sent out an executive order. You've created a monster.
My captain. Like,
Yeah,
well, you can be captain. Okay, Marcel, you're gonna do this. I don't
Yeah,
want to.
Marcel's like, I was complaining about other people's lists because I disagreed with some of them, but he was like, you could just change their list. I was like, really? You don't say.
Well, with that, we'll get more into the XCC in the future. Like I said, next week we're going to be talking with Team Canada. But one thing I do have to bring up, just kind of turn into another direction. So during today's show, I released those GSP OP kits that I had been talking about. And I was like, hey, people on Discord, here it is. You guys kind of get a head start because if you have your notifications on, I'll let people know on stream after that, and they're all gone already. So I underestimated demand. And after I get these taken care of, sets number 3 and 4, I'll work on getting more done for you guys. But yeah,
give us some feedback on them because you're selling them for bargain prices.
it's $5.
By the way,
It's $5.
right?
It's $5
Yeah.
for a set. Shipping costs more than the kit.
Right. But yeah, I'm sure you would like, and we in general would appreciate some feedback. Would you want a larger kit? Is that like the perfect price point to get it in the hands of as many people as possible?
Yeah.
So send us some feedback on it.
Where is this announcement? I didn't see it.
I put it on Discord. It's there. I promise. It's there. Yeah, but anyway, I'm working on trying to figure, because here's the problem. I will tell you, our website has some limitations to it. In order to set the correct shipping prices, I had to take everything else off the store. It's like 3 button clicks. It's not a huge deal, but that's why, like, literally right now, if you go right now, the only products you see that they're not available now because they're out of stock. The only thing you see is the OP kits because of how our T-shirt ships, like they ship from like different factories around the world, but like obviously this is just coming from Chicago, so prices are a little different. But anywho,
Tell me later, like what your back end is running on, because I might be able to help with that.
it's Wix.
Okay.
As he giggles at me. I mean, that's, bro. I don't know how to.
It works.
Anyway, after Marcel just like shakes his head at me, yeah. But yeah, so we will I'll get more information for y'all soon, but I got to take care of these orders. I made it limited because I didn't want to get overwhelmed. And they're gone. So it was 20 sets of kit 1 and 2 because that's how many I could make, and then I make like a mystery box 1 because basically it was like kind of taking pieces from different things where I didn't have enough to make a decent quantity, but we'll see where the demand is and we'll go from there. But wanted to give you guys an update because I've been talking about them and self-wrecked. So Gold Squadron. No, just kidding. Not yet. How you guys doing? You guys doing good?
Yeah. By the way, I saw that Isofane said he snagged like 8 or 9 of them. As you guys know, I love sneakers, and I collect that outside.
Wait,
of
what?
X-Wing.
What is it? What?
You know that. Like,
how is this transitioning? Do you buy 9 pairs of sneakers?
I love sneakers. And one of the things that people hate about the sneaker collection is the resellers. And people that buy 8, 9, 10 and then don't allow other people to take advantage of getting that they want. So we might, I mean, if you're doing something like that that's limited quantity, it might be worth putting like a limit to like.
I tried. I don't have an option to do that on the website, so
yes,
I just.
Isofane, I'm calling you out. taking all of them.
I will tell you, most people got a total of. Most people who ordered it got 3. They got one of set 1, one of set 2, and one of the mystery. That's what, like, nearly all the orders are 3. And the people who got more than 1 after that, they just went and bought the mystery ones because they didn't have any other options. All right. But anyway, people were saying ISOFA needs to scalp for the ISO plane initiative. I mean,
He's scalping them.
He's like, listen, we're getting people to worlds. Double the price, you can have it.
Hey, actually, it might not be a bad idea. Raffle them. Like, be like $1 a piece and raffle it out.
Yeah.
You know, take people to worlds.
Navi asking,
That's
can you do pre-order? The only reason I'm not doing pre-orders, as you guys know, I'm busy with. I have my hands in a lot of different things, and I have to go right now with the most efficient way for me to actually get things done and not get backed up. And I don't want to make promises to people that I can't fulfill. So I want to try to keep things without getting all the anxiety from feeling like I'm behind on stuff, because I don't like it. It's not fun. All right. That's it. You guys have anything else you want to bring up? Tell to the people. Say hi. Say bye. Anything at all?
Oh, just wanted to shout out Lambolo, and I got to make sure I say the name of the tournaments they're running correctly. You can check out the West Metro Dragons first annual tournament called Extended Last Chance. Do look on the old Facebooks or get a hold of anybody around the Minnesota area. I'll be heading up there while Dion goes out to Nova. So if you are local to there, they got just a few spots left open for that Extended Last Chance tournament. So should be a fantastic time traveling up there for the weekend.
I did see somebody in the chat ask about, did I talk about Tabletop TO? I have not talked about it on today's podcast. I talked about it this weekend during the stream. Basically, the update is I met with a team of people who said they're willing to help. Lots of very smart people. I have lots of ideas. We have some, I'm just going to be honest, I think we're all in agreement as to what the first steps need to be. Basically, just make sure Tabletop.to continues to run, without any changes. It's like step 1. It's just like, hey, let's just make sure it exists still. The question that is after that is, what can it become after that, and how to make it more efficient? We have some disagreements, that's fun, right? That's that trying to figure it out stage is what's happening now, and it's interesting to see people's reasoning and things like that, and we'll come to a consensus as a team to figure out what's going to end up happening. But it's all fun, and I'm excited to see what that project becomes. So it should be a good time, and as we get bigger updates, I'll let you know. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be smart, be safe, and we'll see you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Nova Open. And if you're playing in Italy, have a good time too. Gold Squadron out.